CompensatoryRadio.com. We give you a reason to come. The world's greatest radio. We give you a reason to stay. Radio, the way it should be heard. You got the power.
The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guest and not necessarily those of TalkTainmentRadio.com, the management, the staff, or K&E World Network, LLC.
Live call-in talk show. Dial 1-877-932-9766 and join the conversation here on TalkTainmentRadio.com.
This is the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio. Radio, the way it should be heard. And now, Mr. Neely Fuller.
If you do not understand white supremacy, which is racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. Only confuse you. Only confuse you.
All righty. Good morning and welcome to TalkTainmentRadio.com. We go where you go on the world's greatest radio, and now you are in touch with the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. I am your co-host, Mr. Bobby, and this is radio the way it should be heard. Listen here, I have this announcement to make before we get started. Listen, you can hear the Compensatory Concept live on our website at TalkTainmentRadio.com. To watch the live broadcast of the Compensatory Concept show, go to YouTube and type in the word Talktainment. Hit the space bar and type in the word radio. Scroll down to the Talktainment #2 live on YouTube and watch the live broadcast of the Compensatory Concept. Then check out for the replay on Talktainment #2 live on YouTube and Facebook.com/Talktainment. And while you're at it, please like us and subscribe. Thank you. I'll be reading that over and over during the broadcast as we are now on I got to get used to it, YouTube. Yeah, YouTube watching live. Yeah, we're going to do that. Okay, here. Now, you know the numbers to call in are at 1-877-932-9766, or you can Gmail me at the numero 7, Mr. Bobby, at gmail.com. And to be truthful about it, I will not be able to read your email or Gmails over the air on this one because I have about 30 or 40 of them in line, but I will be able to get to them. So if you are expecting to have your email read today, that you send in today, it's not going to happen. No, I do that. And also do me a favor, let me get through before you make your phone calls, although somebody is on now, we're going to honor that, but the program has just begun and there are certain things that I have to go through. So let me introduce to you on the line live now from Washington, D.C., Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. Mr. Fuller, good morning. Good morning. And Mr. Fuller, this day, how are you?
I'm still learning.
You are still learning. Okay, we are.
And today, I would like to get to as many questions as I possibly can.
Oh, all righty. Very good. Very good.
Deal with the eighth area of activity because I've been getting sort of a backlog of people saying that they have questions that are pressing, and I think that's sort of like a priority.
So, would you rather take the phone calls first, then, and not the Gmails?
Oh, the emails are fine, whichever order you want. But I was talking about the eighth area of activity.
Yes.
I would like to upstage that today, if possible, and possibly for the foreseeable future, because there are so many people who say they are not getting their questions and that they have pressing things on their minds. And the compensatory concept is to deal with things when they're the most imperative.
Okay, we'll do that. Okay, I'll tell you what. Then let's start now. Let's take the phone call, Ed. All right, caller, you're on with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. Go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Bobby and Mr. Fuller. Can I be heard?
Yes.
Okay, I have 2 yes or no questions in the statement.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so, Mr. Fuller, if white people were not on the planet, will white supremacy still exist?
If white people were not on the planet,
would white supremacy still exist?
Still exist?
Yes, sir.
Not logically speaking. You have to have white people in order to have white supremacy.
Okay.
You can have mistreatment of people in any setting.
Yes, sir.
And white supremacy is a form of mistreatment. See, the key word here is mistreatment. That's all you have to look for. Is anybody being mistreated? Because if somebody's being mistreated, that is a no-no anywhere on the planet. No one is supposed to be mistreated. We have to start with that concept.
Black people
and then work
did
back
not
from
exist
that.
on the planet, would white supremacy still exist?
If what now?
If black people did not, non-white people did not exist on the planet, would white supremacy still exist?
No. You have to have non-white people in order to have white supremacy, because that's what white supremacy is aimed at, non-white people. It's an invention in the minds of people of a way to mistreat people based on color. If people are not classified by color, you can't have racism at all. Racism is about color. Mistreating people based on color.
Yes, sir. Can I make a statement?
Go ahead. Make your statement.
Make it as brief as possible, because we're trying to get
yes,
questions.
sir. Yes, sir. Okay, so just like you have a parent and a child, if that parent mistreats that child, or if that parent gives everything that child needs, the parent is still supreme over the child. And that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Okay. 1-877-932-9766 is the number that you can call to get in contact with the show, or the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, at gmail.com. Speaking about that, let's go to the Gmails. This comes from Anthony. He says, Mr. Fuller, why do the white supremacists like to give guns and ammos and helicopters to its enemies like Trump did with Saudi Arabia?
Well, I can't address directly, according to the code, Mr. Trump and so-called countries like Saudi Arabia, anything that's in the popular news. I address it within the context of the compensatory counter-racist concept that deals strictly with white supremacists and their victims. So I put everything within that context, since the white supremacist government is the government of the planet, according to compensatory counter-racist logic. So I'm saying, what do the white supremacists, the question would be then, in that context, what do the white supremacists do as far as giving arms to non-white people? If that is the question, that's the way the question would be framed within the context of the compensatory code. So answering the question from that perspective, if a white supremacist gives a gun to a non-white person, what is the intent? The intent of that white supremacist is for that non-white person to carry out the mission of the system of white supremacy, because the white supremacists don't do anything, directly or indirectly, without the intention. Now, it might not work out that way, but they have the definite intention of giving more strength to the system of white supremacy, regardless of what they do or how they do it. That is the ultimate objective. And they will give arms to non-white people. They do it all the time in a place that is called so-called Africa and different parts of the world, in what you call quote-unquote Latin America, et cetera, et cetera. The white supremacists are always busy seeing to it that the people who are classified as non-white are given efficient weapons so that they can slaughter each other. Once they start operating outside of that, outside of the mission of the white supremacists, then the white supremacists make a crackdown on them. But anything that's harmful to non-white people, the white supremacists are always in favor of it.
Okay, 1-877-932-9766 is the number that you can get in contact with the show, or the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby at gmail.com. You can also access the program that way. We are still in the 8th area of people activity, which is sex, but as Mr. Fuller stated, according to his backlog that he's getting, I guess the people want to. Could you repeat what you said, Mr. Fuller, that you're having a backlog of what now?
Oh, it's just that a lot of people are saying they are calling in and they're not getting their questions in because of the limited time and because of people sometimes making statements
and
asking questions, and also probably indirectly alluding to me emphasizing my 8th area or whatever area that I'm in and staying too long on it, and they are not getting their questions answered. And I just made a decision that maybe I should pay attention to what the people want who are supporting the station. All right? If that's okay.
Well,
with everybody aboard.
It's okay with me. There's a lot more area in the or a lot more questions in the 8th area, but if you'd like to move on, we can, and that would be the 9th area, which you know what that is, and I don't know if you'd want to.
No, I don't want to address the 9th area at all.
Okay, so then we'll go back to the 1st area then once we complete today's program, if that's okay with you.
Well, if possible, I'd just like to take the calls.
Okay, well,
right, because Steve, when people are on the line, they are calling, they are taking up their time, and they're showing interest in what is being said.
Okay,
and so I think that should be given compensatory consideration.
Okay. All right. Well, you heard it. Call in. Mr. Fuller's ready for you. 1-877-932-9766 is the number that you can call to speak with Mr. Fuller. He would love to take your phone calls. In the meantime, let's go to the Gmails and let's do this. This comes from Mr. Darius, Franz Darius. He says, Mr. Fuller, true whites are blonde and blue-eyed. Everyone else is colored or mixed. Mr. Fuller, are all supremacists white?
All white supremacists are classified as white, and because the white supremacists, by being supreme, do the classifying. There are lots of black people who look like physically, and if you look at them, you're looking at them every day all over the planet, who look exactly like they are white people. What the white supremacists say is they're not white people. You have some black blood. You have some Negro blood. I can trace it, and I do the tracing. I don't pay any attention to what you say. I pay attention to what I say. And I'm saying you have one drop of Negro and or African blood. You are of African heritage, and I happen to have verification for that. And if the non-white person says, well, wait a minute, what are you basing your verification on? And this doesn't make sense. And, you know, I'm just as white as you are. And when they said, look, I said you are not white. End of story. Boy, girl, I said it. I'm supreme. You're not. I do the classifying. And I can switch it around tomorrow morning or the next 5 minutes if I want to. You don't have any say-so because you are subservient to me. And that's the way it's been since the beginning of the system of white supremacy. They do the classifying, not Neely Fuller, not anybody else. And anybody who ever tests them on it, they'll tell you, I do the classifying. I say who's white. And I can say that a person is white in the morning, and I have done it. And in the afternoon, they are non-white. Why? Because I said so. I make the arrangements according to color, everywhere on the planet, 24 hours a day. According to what? My convenience. That's what. And they make it stick. And they have made it stick. And no one has been able to contest it. No one has had that kind of muscle. No one non-white.
All righty. All righty, there you have it. We have a phone call. What line are we on here? I can't see you. Line number 2? Okay. 3? Okay. Line number 3, you're on with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. What is your question?
Good day, gentlemen. Always a pleasure. I'm always in problem-solving mode, and the people I talk with, I did. But I noticed not many, shall I say, it's hard to defeat a system where you're indoctrinated so deeply as a child, as an adult, all the time being indoctrinated in. So the message we're giving, or with the system we're trying to change, we're a very small message. I just don't see how, being as weak as we are against something so powerful, how could you defeat it when you don't even have any control of any areas of activity, and you depend on the very enemy that you're trying to defeat, or system. You depend on that for food, water, shelter, clothing, et cetera, et cetera. But the only way I can see it is if we want to farm or do things more independent, we have to be able to get off the breast of this system in order to defeat it. I don't see how we can depend on this system and defeat it at the same time. I just don't see that happening. I've never seen that happen in recorded history, matter of fact, being logical about it. So I see we have to be independent. We have to become more independent, more off-the-grid living, learn how to farm, learn how to do the things that universal man and universal woman should be able to do, that we're allowed to do as much as we can do to become as independent as we can to get strength to fight the system.
Well,
that's my question or remark. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Fuller, response to that?
I couldn't hear anything. I hear Dr. Wilson's voice. I hear someone talking. I hear a multiple number of people talking. I didn't hear any of that.
Okay. Do you hear Dr. Wilson's voice now?
No, I don't hear it.
Okay.
And I didn't hear the person. It seems like there was another person talking.
Okay, yeah.
And I hear Dr. Wilson's voice coming in now.
Okay. Let's see. All righty, let's do this here. Let me do this while we get that worked out. Talktainment Radio is a 24/7 no-charge worldwide broadcasting facility with hosts delivering on various topics such as news and lifestyle, sports, law, health, wellness, religion, and politics. Now, let me share a couple with you. You've heard these before, but we are going to share them again. You can go at the table with Al Warner. That's one show you can do. How about this one, All in the Family with S. Yolanda Robinson? And how about this one, Real Men with Pastor Banks? Now, all these shows are exclusive to TalkTainmentRadio.com, and all you have to do is go to the TalkTainmentRadio.com homepage and click on Programs, and then you can click on the selected show of your choice. That's exclusive from TalkTainmentRadio.com. That's radio the way it should be heard. And speaking about this, listen to this. You can hear the compensatory concept live on our website at TalkTainmentRadio.com. Well, you already know that, but listen to this. To watch the live broadcast of the compensatory concept show, go to YouTube and type in the word Talktainment. Hit the space bar and type in the word radio. Scroll down to the Talktainment #2 live on YouTube and watch the live broadcast of the compensatory concept. Then check out for a replay on Talktainment #2 live on YouTube and also on Facebook.com/Talktainment. That's where you can see and hear the program, get a replay of today's show. And I think there might be other shows on there too. But anyway, you can do that. Okay, 1-877-932-9766. Mr. Fuller said that he would like to hear from you, so now is your chance to call in and ask Mr. Fuller your question. You can do that right now. He said that this is what he's been getting a lot of feedback, and people have been waiting and wanting to call in. Okay, here it is. Now is your chance. Call in, 1-877.
That also includes the emails, too.
Also, okay, and Gmails, too. So we're going to do that, too. So call in or at 1-877 932-9766, or you can Gmail me at the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby at gmail.com. We're going to go through them. So now it's up to you. You said it. He responded to it, and so here we go. Okay, going to the Gmails, Mr. Fuller. This comes from Root Dog, and this has to do with a radio show host out in California. I heard, but I didn't see the program. Anyway, the guy's name is Bill Handel. He's the host of the popular Bill Handel morning show on KFI 600 in Los Angeles. He on his calling of Florida Congresswoman Frederica Wilson a, quote, cheap, sleazy Democratic whore, end of quote. And I guess he's standing by his original comments and clarifying he should have called her a media whore. I don't understand what this meant, but your comment on this, is this the right thing to do, or have you heard this, or what's going on here?
You never call any person, according to the code. Compensatory code says you never call any person by any name except the name that the person wants to be called. Always call people by the name that he or she wants to be called, has to be called. And you let people know the name that you want to be called by. Now, if people call you a name other than that, then that's their choice. But you just say, well, that's what the person said that they're going to call me. Anybody can call Neely Fuller by any name or title that they want to call Neely Fuller. But I will say I go by the name Neely Fuller and the title of victim of white supremacy. I'm more of that than I am anything. That's how I got the name Neely Fuller, as a result of the system of white supremacy, according to what logic and what everybody tells me. I mean, all the information that has come to me, it came from the name of white people or white persons who were named Fuller, and somebody did some tracking, and that's where they say the name came from slave owners. So I go by that name, and by that name, I am a victim of the system of white supremacy. That's my title, okay? So I just go by it because that's what I am, and I have never been anything else. But I am trying to be something else, like no longer a victim of white supremacy, in which case then I can consider some other name. But up till then, any name that anybody chooses to call me, after I give them the name that I am going by, and they say, well, I'm not going to call you that, I'm going to call you, and they might say the N-word. That's what I'm going to call you. I'm going to call you, your last name will be Neely, and your first name will be the N-word. So the N-word plus Neely. How about that? And that's what I'm going to call you. Well, that's what you choose to call me. Go right ahead. I'm not going to stop you from calling me whatever you want to call me. That's between you and yourself. See, so, I told you what my name is. Told you what my title is, more than any other title that I can carry. Victim of white supremacy. That is my functional title. I'm more of that than I am anything else 24 hours a day.
Okay. Let's do this. From the YouTube comment line, let's see. Chris Style, 405, saying hello from Oklahoma City. Siano Logan, hello from St. Louis. She says, or good morning to all. Octopi says good morning from D.C., Washington, D.C., and Brittany Jackson, hello from Dallas. Dallas is in the house. I should be down then next week. Okay, Brittany Jackson. All right, 1-877-932-9766 is the number that you can call to get into the show. Also, if you want to Gmail the show, you can, 7, the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, BOBBY at gmail.com, and I will read them. Okay, let's do this. Let's read this one here. Let's see. It's from Rahab Singho says this. Good morning, Mr. Fuller. Why is it that so many white men engage in sexual activity and have tragic arrangements with Asian females more so than other non-white females? And what do you believe the agenda is behind this?
The agenda is the expansion and refinement of the system of white supremacy, in my opinion, and according to logic. You have the system of white supremacy in place, and if it seems like people who are classified as quote-unquote Asian and are among those non-white people, the white supremacists say, hey, what we have got to do, we have got to get our people out here, pair off sexually with as many of those people as we possibly can in order to establish ourselves like we want to be with them so that we can consolidate our power. This is what we do. We only have sexual intercourse with people that we are going to empower ourselves over. And we will control the amount of that sexual activity. We will not let them control it. We'll definitely not let them control it. But we will initiate it, or we will even sometimes pretend that we're letting them control it. All right, that's a part of our deception. But our whole idea is to keep them close enough to us that we'll have white men in the system of white supremacy spread themselves out among the women that females that we call Chinese or Indonesian or Indian, or generally speaking, quote-unquote, Asian peoples. But we will have limited numbers assigned to do this. But we will increase those numbers according to whatever we think is good for the business of white supremacy. That's the whole purpose. It's not serving any other purpose, but we'll make it look like it's all about love. It has to do with power. The system of white supremacy, refining its power. That's all it is.
Wow. Has to do with power. Okay, we got about 3 minutes? Okay. I'll see if we can do this in 3 minutes, Mr. Fuller. This is a Gmail. Don't forget, you can call in now. The phone lines are open. This is what you wanted. The phone lines are now open. 1-877-932-9766. Okay, they got two minutes before we have to go to break, so I'm not going to read this one right now. While we have this particular 2-minute Mr. Fuller gap here, speak to an issue here for a minute and a half now before we go to commercial. What you would like to speak to for this minute and a half.
Oh, you mean the getting of the book?
You could do that, but if it's going to take over a minute and a half, then you can't do that because we got to go to the commercial. Okay.
Right. Just go to producejustice.com. Producejustice.com. And what will come up on the screen is a brief description of a basic textbook and also an addition volume to the basic textbook. It came out in 2010, and that is a compensatory counter-racist codified word guide. And that's a guide that's designed, it's not exactly like a dictionary, but it's similar to a dictionary and or a small encyclopedia in that it gives some direction about how to use words as a victim of racism and how not to use words, what questions to ask when certain words are used.
All righty. TalkTainmentRadio.com. We go where you go. And you can check us out on 94.1 WGRN. Podcasts are available. Download the TalkTainmentRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. Stay right there. We have more of your Gmails. Call in. More of your questions. All that and much more coming up next on TalkTainmentRadio.com.
Pastor Clifford Riley and the congregation at Mount Gerizim Missionary Baptist Church cordially invite you to worship with us. Yes, come to the Mountain of Blessings for a spirited, love-filled experience. Our Sunday services and twice on Wednesday Bible study will change your life. We are located at 2633 Mock Road, and our phone number is 614-475-9712. Again, 2633 Mock Road, or call 614-475-9712.
Are you ready to earn a certification in healthcare, business, or manufacturing while achieving your high school diploma? Then you're ready for Life Skills High School, a free public school option for Ohio students 16 to 21 years old. Learn more about your free high school educational options at lifeskillshs.org.
Queen's Legacy of Love 12 brand launch and grand opening. Currently looking for hosts, photographers, models, dancers, entertainers, ushers, comedians, production managers, model coordinators, stage crew, vendors, volunteers, sponsors, public relations and media personnel, and extras. Contact GGoldQQueen22@yahoo.com.
Queens of Queens.
Stand by for an important announcement. Mortgage interest rates are the lowest in history. Did you hear that? Mortgage interest rates are the lowest in history. You can buy a home from Lenco Realty for less than rent. For details, call 614-375-2BUY. That's 614-375-2289, or log on to repohomelist.com. That's repohomelist.com and claim your American dream.
For the best home fragrance and beauty products, shop Ash Kickin online.
That's ASHKICKIN.
Made with 100% natural quality ingredients and handcrafted with your family in mind, Ash Kickin products are better than those other guys. Ash Kickin candles, incense, body butter, face moisturizer, and hair moisturizer are priced just right, and you can get yours at 10% off with coupon code TALK17. Support this 100% black-owned business and get your home and body smelling and feeling all right.
That's ASHKICKIN.
Shop Ash Kickin online at www.ashkickin.com.
This is Al Edmondson, owner of a Cutter Brother Rest Barbershop. I'm calling on all barbers and beauticians. It's time for us to unite as one. We can serve our communities better together. Join the Ohio Black Barber Beauty Network. For more information, visit www.obbn.org or call 614-427-3226 to get more information. Be the change that you want to see in your community. Join our network.
If you or someone you know is abusing drugs and or alcohol and want to stop the abuse, contact APDS at 1409 East Livingston Avenue. Office hours are 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily and 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturdays. APDS is certified by the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services and primarily funded through the Adam H. Board. Fees are based on your income and Medicaid is always accepted. For more information, call 614-253-4448.
Think fast. In less than 30 seconds, a small flame can become a big fire. Don't let your world go up in smoke. Have working smoke alarms and keep heaters 3 feet away from anything that can burn. Learn more at usfa.fema.gov because fire is everyone's fight.
Do you have problems controlling high blood pressure? Good news. You can enroll in Helping Hands Health and Wellness Center's health coaching program utilizing the innovative Twine Health platform. We will help you set your goals, keep in touch with you via your cell phone, and may provide you a free blood pressure cuff. Call us at 614-462-0114 or visit us on the web at www.helpinghandsfreeclinic.org to see if you qualify. This program is provided to you by a grant from the CVS Health Foundation.
See that cute little dog in the pet store? Chances are it came from a puppy mill, a breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppies to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. But with one simple choice, you can help, just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Not only are you saving a life, you're taking a stand against puppy mills. Visit bestfriends.org/puppymills to learn more.
I've got the water, energy bars, and camera. I think we're set for the hike.
Almost. We need to protect our skin. Don't forget your wide-brimmed hat and sunscreen.
All right. I've got the hat. I've got SPF 30. Will that work?
Yeah, anything 15 or higher is good. Just make sure it says broad spectrum.
Great. Got it. I am not getting burned again. Let's go.
Learn more at cdc.gov/cancer.
Families affected by disasters urgently need support. Help the American Red Cross provide meals and shelter to those affected by disasters, big and small. Donate to Red Cross Disaster Relief. Go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS.
Live call-in talk show. Dial 1-877-932-9766 and join the conversation here on TalkTimidRadio.com.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Go ahead. Make my day.
You got the power.
Okay, TalkTainmentRadio.com. We go where you go. Download the TalkTainmentRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's your radio the way it should be heard. Hi, I am Mr. Bobby. I'm the co-host on the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. We are in the 8th area of people activity, sex, in the system of racism and white supremacy. If you have any calls, Mr. Fuller has requested that you go ahead and call in and he will answer your call. So you can do that by calling 1-877-932-9766, or you can Gmail me at the numero 7, Mr. Bobby, BOBBY at gmail.com. And while I'm on that, let me read this. You can hear the Compensatory Concept live on our website at TalkTainmentRadio.com. To watch the live broadcast of the Compensatory Concept show, go to YouTube and type in the word Talktainment. Hit the space bar and type in the word radio. Then scroll down to the Talktainment #2 live on YouTube and watch the live broadcast of the Compensatory Concept. Then check out for the replay on Talktainment #2 live on YouTube and also on Facebook.com/Talktainment. So that's how you can access the show. Also, you can do this, 1-877-932-9766. And let me get some shout outs to Anthony Weeks, saying thanks for the logic. Drew Brown, hello from New Jersey. And Drew Brown, he forgot Anthony. And Anthony Weeks, so I didn't kick you to the curb, Mr. Anthony Weeks. I'm sorry, but he's laughing. He was just teasing. But these are some of the things that we are developing our technology and calling in, and so that we can read your comments and so forth. So we're doing it as best as we can, mistakes and all. But anyway, good morning to all. Okay, Mr. Fuller. Let me read this here. Mr. Fuller has in his book, it's been on the screen a few times, but the United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept. He has written on page 320, and you might want to read that for yourself. We're not going to have Mr. Fuller do that, but remarks especially to non-white males. You might want to check that out. But he does address nudity on page 322. That's of the revised edition of the book, revised and expanded edition of the Compensatory Concept. And then he also, on page 323, whore and prostitutes he addressed. And one of the things on that, on page 322, Mr. Fuller, there we go, page 322, in the middle, under nudity, you said this, then I would like you to address it. You said, during the existence of white supremacy, racism, deliberately promote nakedness and or nudity of the persons only if such nakedness and or nudity best helps to promote the replacement of the system of white supremacy with the system of justice. What do you mean by that, Mr. Fuller?
Because people have different ideas about the value of nudity in art. I mean, sometimes they show people in the nude, and then in other situations they say that nudity is somehow vulgar or profane. So, and then they say different parts of the body may be, if they're exposed, that is somehow insulting or it's not characteristic of the society, or et cetera, et cetera. There's controversy a lot about even if a woman is breastfeeding, they say she's exposing her breast, and that is somehow vulgar among some people under some circumstances. And it is the feeding of a child from the breast, because they say the breast is something that should not be exposed. And then there are other people who say, well, what's wrong with the breast being exposed if the mouth of a person is exposed and no one covers the mouth? People don't walk around with anything covering their mouth, and that has to do with the intake of food, et cetera, but it's there for everyone to see. And people speak with their mouths, and et cetera. So it's always very controversial, depends on whose point of view is being expressed. So then other parts of the body, I mean, some people say that it's all right to expose the rear end of a person, the buttocks, but not the front part of a person. They sometimes refer to it as frontal nudity, and that is somehow supposed to be prohibited. And so that becomes controversial. So the criteria for counter-racist purposes is whatever works to better counteract the effects or give strength to the system of white supremacy. That should be the major consideration in anything, not only when it comes to nudity and nakedness, but when it comes to anything, any area of activity. The question is, does it give strength to the system of white supremacy, or does it weaken the system of white supremacy? That's the only criteria for anything, not only in sex, but in economic, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, or war. Does it or does it not, regardless of what it is, regardless of what the customs are, does it give strength to the system of white supremacy, or does it weaken the system of white supremacy in a manner that helps to produce a replacement for it, and that replacement would be justice, which means guaranteeing that no person is mistreated and guaranteeing that the person that needs help the most gets the most constructive help.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All righty. Now, I know up on Facebook, or rather, excuse me, I keep saying that, so excuse me, on YouTube, we're fixing it so that people can actually see the pages on that in the United Independent Compensatory Code System Contact. That's in the revised and expanded edition. We have that, or should have that up on the screen where people can actually see that where you speak or spoke to just now to nudity. There's also a section on whore and prostitute. I'll tell you what, let's take this phone call. What line number 1 so I can see you? Line number, what is that, 1? Okay, line number 1. You are now on with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. What is your question?
Hey, good morning, Mr. Fuller and Mr. Bobby. Question for you, Mr. Fuller. I heard you say many times victims of white supremacy should study what white people are doing. So I do that when I'm traveling. I tend to find sometimes I drift off because it looks like they're not doing anything but sitting, and I kind of lose focus. Wonder if you had any suggestions on how to stay focused if it appears maybe they're pretending they want to not be noticed, so they're appearing not to do anything. Wonder if you had any suggestions on how to stay focused on what they're doing.
Oh, okay. Thank you, my brother. Mr. Fuller?
Oh, well, if you pay attention to that and you come to that conclusion, that might be what the conclusion is. You come to your own conclusions about what you're looking at. Based on what? Based on logic.
Logic,
and then look around at everything that's going on around the entire setting. You know, if you are traveling on a subway or something like that, you say, well, nobody's doing anything in particular. They're just riding. And I'm looking at people, both white and non-white, and they're just rioting. Now you look at the greater context. Rioting where? And you might ask yourself, where are the people going? Are they all going to the same place? And if they're not going to the same place, what is the difference between one place that some people are going to and the other place that other people are going to? You might see people getting off in different neighborhoods. You might notice that. As the subway comes to a stop here, comes to a stop there. And you notice mostly black people maybe getting off of the subway at this particular stop. And then 3 stops next, you see both black people and white people getting off or getting on. And then maybe 3 stops from that, you see large numbers of white people exiting at this particular stop. And you might look around the car then, and there's nobody but black people left on the car.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that might tell you something. Right there. Right there. Ask that question. Why is it that at this particular stop, almost all of the white people who were left on this particular car or this particular train exit at this particular area? And then I noticed from here on, it's nothing but black people. And then you might look out the window, if you're above ground, of that transit train. And you might see, when you look out the window, when nothing but black people are left on the train, everything that you see out the window looks like it's run down, look like it's falling apart, all boarded up. You see people staggering down the street maybe with wine bottles in their hands, or you see people fighting, or you just see empty vacant lots of trash piled up, garbage cans overflowing. And as you go further and further, and nobody but black people, maybe 1 or 2 white people that forgot to get off at their stop because they were asleep. And so that might tell you something right there about the society that you're in.
Yes. Yes. Okay. 1-877-932-9766. By the way, thank you for your call. Is a number that you can call to get in contact with the show. And let me give Brother Anthony Weeks another shout out, LOL, since I missed him the first time, but we got him. That came from the YouTube section, so that's good. We are now on YouTube. As a matter of fact, let me read this. You can hear the compensatory concept live on our website at talktainmentradio.com. Well, you already know that, but listen to this. To watch the live broadcast of the compensatory concept show, go to YouTube and type in the word Talktainment. Hit the space bar and then type in the word radio. Scroll down to the Talktainment #2 live on YouTube and watch the live broadcast of the compensatory concept. How about that? Then, how about this? Check out for the replay on Talktainment #2 live on YouTube and also on Facebook.com/Talktainment. You can do that. Let's do this. Let's take this phone call. What line am I on here? Okay, 1. Okay, thank you. Line number 1, you are on with Mr. Fuller. Go ahead, please.
Hello, Neely Fuller. I have 2 questions today. One question: why have the revolutionaries, quote unquote, and people who are fighting the system of white supremacy globally and historically, why do they leave out the white female as part of their enemy? Number 2, Mr. Fuller, why do you believe that the code has not ended this mess yet? It's helped many of us with tactics to deal with white supremacy, but what has to be the crucial blow to bring the whole system down?
Okay, in answer to the first question, people just got in the habit, for whatever reason, of saying.
Wait a minute, excuse me, Mr. Fuller. I'm hearing some feedback.
I hear feedback too.
Yeah, can we fix that? Okay, Mr. Fuller, go ahead.
I hear people, and have down through the years, say the white man this, the white man that. Well, in the system of white supremacy, you have to have white men and white women. Otherwise, that white supremacy system is not going to work. So all through the code book, I say racist man and racist woman. They are a corporation. They have to work with each other, even though they might fight each other in the individual houses and all like that. But that doesn't really count. I mean, because they have a united front when it comes to non-white people. They have proven that down through their history. And the white supremacist female is just as instrumental in supporting the system of white supremacy. Those who do. Not all white people now, but those who do. They have just as much interest in supporting the system of white supremacy as the white male. So it's racist man plus racist woman. So people should keep that in mind.
Also, I think we should add racist child.
Oh, there's no such thing as a racist child, because if you're a racist, you're not a child. There's no such
starting
thing.
at 10, 9, 8, 7, when they're old enough to practice it, it doesn't matter the age.
But a racist child is not a child.
Okay.
See what I mean? That's just a white child.
Okay.
See, you have to be aware of your colors. All right. Now, you are a child. You're a white child if you are not aware of color.
I got
But you are not a child once you have become aware of color, and you know the difference between a white person and a non-white person, and you start acting on that difference. Okay. Now you are no longer a child. You are a full-grown person if you are classified as white in the system of white supremacy.
Okay.
And what was your second question, dear?
And the second question was...
why, with all that you have put out here and people are trying to tap into destroying white supremacy, why has not the death knell destroyed the system yet? What is your analysis on that?
Oh, because people do not understand the system of white supremacy. I mean, when you talk to people and you mention the system of white supremacy, that's not a popular term. And people, it's an alien language. People don't even know what you're talking about. What do you mean, system of white supremacy? People tell me that, even today.
Oh.
It's because it's not popular. It's not understood that it's an entire world system. Very few people look at it that way. Most what we call racism is looked upon by the average black person, for example, as something you run into every now and then. Oh, we got some... I think we got a couple of racists on the job where I work. They will say that somebody used the N-word to me last year. And, that guy was a racist. Or that lady was a racist. I know she did because she called me the N-word. And so, I run into this every now and then. I'm beginning to run into it more and more.
Yes.
Last year I ran into it 3 times. And the year before, I ran into it 1 time. And they kind of keep score that way, rather than thinking of it as a 24-hour-a-day worldwide government that covers every area of activity, every move that every black person on this planet makes in economics, in education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. And it's a 24/7 enterprise. But the average victim of racism just sees it as what you call racial incidents. Or I believe that town over there in that section may have maybe as many as 30 or 40 racists. That's the way non-white people look at racism. I think it might be at least 40 or 50 over there in that section of town.
Yes.
Or over there in such and such a place, we hear that it's racist. Or this company, it's got some racists working in that company. Rather than looking at it, hey, the entire world, this planet Earth is dominated by people who believe in white supremacy, period. We don't look at it like that. And until we look at it like that, we're not going to make any mileage at all.
Okay. 1-877-932-9766 is the number you call. Line number 3, you're on with Mr. Fuller. Go ahead. Go ahead, line number 3, you're on.
I hear some beeping.
Okay, they're not there. Okay, let's do this. We didn't give, unless that's them calling back. Wait a minute. Let's see here. If that's them, we can get this call in before I do the next thing. Are we ready? Are we still on line 3? Just a minute, Mr. Fuller. Okay, line 3, go ahead. You're on with Mr. Fuller. Go ahead.
Oh, hi. My name's Gregory, and I'm a hairstylist by profession. And I just want to know Mr. Fuller's thoughts on something. I just noticed that, like, when black women wear extensions, they're always straighter hair, and the fact that all clowns always wear afros. If you ever see a clown, they always have an afro as far as hairstyle. I'd just see what Mr. Fuller's thoughts are or something like that.
Okay, Mr. Fuller, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I hope I understand the question, but is the question about black hair?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I just noticed, like, if I ever see clowns, they always have afro as far as their hair is, even though it's in different colors and wild, vivid colors, but it's always afro. And I just seem like we as black people, like, we don't like our own hair.
Mr. Fuller?
Well, hair has always been a serious problem in the system of white supremacy, because the white supremacists, for some reason, have had some type of influence on black people, where black people pay attention to hair as a part of their body more than any other parts of their body as being most important within a context of what they call being black. But there's no logical reason why you would think about hair as being more important than your fingernails, or more important than your ears, or more important than your brain. But somehow we got stuck on this thing about, what kind of license are you supposed to have this type of hair or that type of hair? Or, when you get up in the morning, look in the mirror and see what your hair is doing. Did you check to see what your feet are doing? Did you check to see what your toenails are doing? Why hair? Why hair? Because somebody made that decision many years ago, that somehow, hey, keep black people occupied with thinking about their hair. Whether to cut it off, or whether to make it longer, or whether to put some weaves in it, or whether to stack some hay on top of it, or whether to put chairs on top of it, but keep them thinking about their hair. Therefore, they won't have no time to think about anything else about how their brain works in solving problems. Because regardless of what kind of hair we adopt or not adopt, it doesn't appear to solve not a single problem that non-white people have. It doesn't appear to be in the problem-solving category. I haven't seen any evidence where it's in the problem-solving category. In economics, education, entertainment, name any area of activity and name a problem that how your hair is or is not solves a problem.
Okay. We got to wrap it right there, but listen to this. TalkTainMenRadio.com, the world's greatest radio the way it should be heard. Thanks for listening, and I'll tell you what, it sounded so nice we're going to do it twice, so we will catch you on the second hour of the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. and co-host Mr. Bobby on TalkTainMenRadio.com, radio the way it should be heard.
TalkTainmentRadio.com. Talktainment Radio, worldwide sound. Talktainmentradio.com. We give you a reason to come. The world's greatest radio. We give you a reason to stay. Radio, the way it should be heard. You got the power.
The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guest and not necessarily those of TalkTainmentRadio.com, the management, the staff, or K&E World Network, LLC.
Live call-in talk show. Dial 1-877-932-9766 and join the conversation here on TalkTainmentRadio.com.
This is the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio. Radio, the way it should be heard. And now, Mr. Neely Fuller.
If you do not understand white supremacy, which is racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. Only confuse you. Only confuse you.
All righty, lights, camera, action. Man, they got them blaring today, but guess what? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the second hour of the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. Here on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio. That's what you are in touch with, the Compensatory Concept. And, of course, I am your co-host, Mr. Bobby, and this is radio the way it should be heard. We're doing a lot of different things here. One of the things we're doing, listen, you can hear the Compensatory Concept live on our website, TalkTainmentRadio.com. Now, to watch the live broadcast of the Compensatory Concept show, go to YouTube and type in the word Talktainment. Hit the space bar and type in the word radio. Scroll down to the Talktainment #2 live on YouTube and watch the live broadcast of the Compensatory Concept. Then you can check us out on the replay on Talktainment #2 live on YouTube and also Facebook.com/Talktainment. Hey, hit the like us and then subscribe to that also, okay? And we'll do that. Now, in the first hour, Mr. Fuller indicated that he wants to take your phone calls. So guess what? Call in. The phone lines are open. I'll get to that call in just a second. The phone lines are open, 1-877-932-9766. You can do that, or you can Gmail me at the #7, MrBobby@gmail.com. I can't see you, my brother. Okay, thank you. I can see that. Okay. All this is live. So, yeah, you can do that. Call in. And if I didn't mention it, the Gmail, the #7, Mr. Bobby, BOBBY @gmail.com. And guess what? I'm going to read them as soon as I can get to them and get to them. Okay, let's go to the phone lines right now. Line #3, you're on with Mr. Neely Fuller. What is your question?
Good morning, Mr. Bobby. Good morning, Mr. Fuller. I'm a long-time listener and have a quick question. Based on compensatory logic definition of justice, would a judge be acting in accordance to the code to give a non-white defendant the smallest sentence possible, considering the laws are unjust? Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Fuller?
Would you give a non-white person a longer sentence than a white person?
Is he still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, yeah. Could you repeat that question again?
Will do, Mr. Bobby. Based on the compensatory logic definition of justice, guaranteeing that those that need the most help receive the most constructive help, would a judge be acting in accordance to the code to give a non-white defendant the smallest sentence possible, considering that the laws are unjust?
Okay. Mr. Fuller?
You go by each individual case. It depends on what you're defending. You don't want any person to have a license to mistreat anybody. So that you would look at each individual. Everything in the United Independent, that's why it's called the United Independent compensatory code system concept. Everything in that concept is about looking at the details of everything. It's all in the details. And say, wait a minute. Now, this person apparently made a mistake, and this person is not likely to want to make this mistake again. So I'm not going to do with this person what I did to that person last week, who came in here and said, yeah, I did it, and if I get a chance, I'm going to do it again. I mean, you know, and even though, you know, regardless of what the law says the sentences are about and all like that, or what they're not about, this is me, and I'm a very destructive person. Now, that person might be classified as non-white and say, yeah, but as soon as I get out of here, I'm going around here and kill as many black people as I possibly can, because that's what I do. That's what I do in the hood. I like doing that, because I can get away with it most of the time. And they don't give me a long sentence most of the time. So I go right back out and do it again. Now, I would say, well, since that's your position, maybe you need to be put in position where you have to think this over a little longer than usual. So I'm going to do everything I can to see that you have that position, sir or ma'am, because that's the position that you should have in order to do what? In order to help produce what? This thing called justice, guaranteeing that no person is mistreated and guaranteeing that the person that needs help the most gets the most constructive help. And you will be given the most constructive help by being put in a position where you can't go around mistreating people at will. Period. I hope that illustration may answer the question.
All righty. Thank you, Mr. Fuller. Okay, let's go to the Gmails here. This comes from Brother Anthony Kraft. Thank you, Brother Kraft. It says this, Mr. Fuller, one of the most hotly debated topics among the more conscious and astute African-centered scholars out here is whether or not the earth is round or flat. These debates have become so intense that some have devolved into profane name-calling and threats of bodily harm. So what you say, Mr. Fuller, about the idea of debating on evenly scholarly topics in the midst of our current plight as African people under the system of white supremacy? And do you, by the way, have a position or any thoughts on whether the earth is flat or round? I thought I'd ask this also, since you always encourage us to think like universal people. Peace and much respect. This comes from Brother AC.
Well, since I don't really know for certain, because I'm not a mathematician or astrophysicist or whatever you might call the person, I don't know whether the earth is round or flat. But I do know, according to the code, I'm not supposed to get into any type of altercation or name-calling with any person, white or non-white, about it. Now, that is out. That is against the code, outright. You start cursing people out about anything, that's never the correct thing to do.
Yes, sir.
Or even being discourteous in a discussion about any subject, not just about whether the earth is round or flat, but about any subject at all. There should be no name-calling, no cursing, no discourtesy. In fact, the code says, try your very best in all circumstances where you're talking to anyone, white or non-white, to not let anyone be more courteous than you. If you look next to you and you see that the person sitting next to you is being more courteous than you are, you immediately, according to the code, should check yourself and say, wait a minute, I'm not going to let, it's 200 people in this room, but I'm not going to let anybody be more courteous than me. Everybody's going to be more discourteous than me. I'm going to be the most courteous person in this room, period. And you check yourself. I check myself when I'm in that type of setting. and I make sure that I keep that in mind, we are going to try to have a civil discussion as best we possibly can. And if I cannot participate in a discussion that is as civil as it possibly can be, where people are name calling, then the code says I'm supposed to dismiss myself in a courteous manner from that discussion until such time as we can resume the level of courtesy that will allow people to have a problem-solving discussion. Name calling is not problem-solving.
Okay, you got it right there. Let's go to line 3. You're on with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. Go ahead, please.
You got me, brother?
Go ahead. Wait a minute. Let me start the clock here. Okay, go ahead.
Much praise to you and Brother Fuller. I want all decent human beings to listen to me very careful. I ain't heard nothing I ain't heard 1,000 times. I'm not going to say nothing I ain't said 1,000 times. These psychopaths have plans to exterminate so-called black people in this country. Everything we are seeing is leading up to that. They are creating an atmosphere of chaos, things gone crazy. Because in an atmosphere like that, you can exterminate a people who is going to be us. All these shooting stories, all information comes from them. They tell you who shot Joe, who shot John. Oh, we killed them. 20 was killed. You get your information from them. They have zero credibility. They are sitting the table for our extermination. Again, I would tell people, if you want to save your life or have a chance for life, you have to get out of here. Now, all them bad black people who's ready to fight the psychopath and they ain't fight them in over 400 years, let them fight them. But if you got some young children, grandchildren, if you want a chance for them to save their life, you have to get them out of here. And yes, they do run the world. Russia is white supremacy. France, Britain, Australia, New Zealand, Canada. They control Mexico, Africa. Of course, Brother Fuller is right on that. So what do? You have to go and try to save your life. You're not going to defeat this psychopath here in his wheelhouse.
Okay, my brother.
Okay. There's no way that's going to happen.
All right.
I want to tell people, think about your life, your grandchild or some young child life.
Okay.
Try to get them somewhere where they can live some more years.
All right, my brother. Thank you. Okay. It's affectionately called the Extermination Man. As a matter of fact, if I may say so, if you go to YouTube while he was speaking, what flashed up on the screen I saw was some pictures that kind of correlates with whatever this man was saying. Or like when Mr. Fuller, when the caller called in talking about hair, there were different hairstyles that were presented on YouTube Live. So that'd be a good thing for you to check out to make sure. Just trying to improve the program as best we can. Okay, let's do this. Mr. Fuller, on page 323 of the revised expanded edition of the code book, you indicated, speaking about whore/prostitute, and you said that during the existence of racism, white supremacy, do not say that a person is a whore unless you and that person agree that both of you are whores. Can you explain that, please?
Because in the system of white supremacy, what exactly is a whore and or a prostitute? Well, they say that if you submit to and participate in a system that allows people to be used as for illicit purposes, non-constructive purposes, I guess. Different people have different ideas of what whoredom is.
Yes, sir.
I understand that Adolf Hitler called Winston Churchill a pompous old whore. What did he mean? I read that somewhere many years ago.
Okay.
So it depends on how you use the word and what it means. So in the system of white supremacy, it can be said that if you submit in any way to the system of white supremacy, if you become a prisoner of the white supremacists, you are from that point on being used as a whore and are a prostitute to the system of white supremacy. You are prostrating yourself, you might say, prostituting yourself, being used for the strength of the white supremacists. Within that context, you don't get into a name-calling thing of singling out somebody else as being a whore or a prostitute when you just may fit that description yourself within the system of racism. That's the view.
Okay. All righty. TalkTainmentRadio.com is a 24/7 no-charge worldwide broadcasting facility with hosts delivering on various topics such as news, lifestyle, sports, law, health, wellness, religion, and politics. Now, here are several that I'd like to share with you. Senior Agenda with Lisa Stockdale. Of course, This is Libby with Libby Rand. And one of my favorites, New Money with Drew and Jan. All these shows are exclusive to TalkTainmentRadio.com. And all you have to do is go to the TalkTainmentRadio.com homepage, click on Programs for the scheduled times, and gives you a little information about the show. All this from Talktainment Radio, that is radio the way it should be heard. I am Mr. Bobby. I am the co-host on the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. And I tell you what, let's go to the phone lines here. Line number one. Go ahead with your phone call. Line number one.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I had a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Name calling. Now, when I hear Mr. Fuller talk about name calling, it's more of a derogatory sense or tearing somebody down. Now, I like to look at the other side. Even when name calling, when we classify ourselves, oh, I'm a Christian, I'm a Moor, I'm a Muslim, or I'm from Tennessee, I'm Ohio, if there's any name calling or classification going on that divides us, shouldn't you just cut it all out?
Mr. Fuller?
Should we cut out all name calling?
Even if it's positive or negative, if it creates division.
Even if what now?
Even if it's positive or negative but creates division, should we cut it all out?
Yes. The criteria is call people. Everybody should call everybody else. Every person should call every other person by the name and or title that the person wants to be called. And that is without exception, all the time. If a person wants to be called Mr. Jones, I call that person Mr. Jones. If the person changes his name to Mr. Smith in the afternoon of that same day and lets me know that my name is no longer Jones, my name is Smith, I will call that person Mr. Smith when that person tells me that that is his name. And that's the name he wants to be called. I don't lose anything by doing that. And I'm making for better communication, because all words are just communication, that's all. And so why wouldn't I call the person by the name that the person wants to be called? Now, I'd like to say this about the system of white supremacy. Now, suppose a person I suspect is a white person who practices white supremacy. Now, I cannot call that person a white supremacist according to the code, but I can say that I suspect that the person could be one. Now, that's not name calling. That's saying I suspect that the person might fit that description.
Okay.
It's just like a person who you might say stole something. Now, I don't call that person a thief. I would just simply say, well, I think that when I turn my back, there's nobody in here but me and you, and when I turn my back, you picked up my wallet and put it in your pocket, you know, because when I looked around and there's no one here in this room, and the room is locked, but the two of us, I think you took my wallet and hid it somewhere on your person. And the person might say, are you calling me a thief? I say, no. I just suspect that you could be one, depending on what you mean by a thief.
So think and suspect are the same thing.
Yes, but that's not name calling because I said I suspect. See,
Okay.
That's not calling the person a name. You know, I say, well, I suspect that you took my wallet. I can just describe the act.
And he says based on what?
Oh, based on, there's no one there but the two of us, and the wallet disappeared, and I just turned away for a brief second. And when I look back, the person, you know, and the room, all the doors are locked and all like that.
Yes.
So I don't have proof that the person took it, all right? But I can suspect that, and I can tell the person that.
Yes.
And
Okay.
then we can go from there.
Okay.
The person can say, well, hey, if you believe I took it and put it in my pocket, which pocket did I put it in? We can go from there.
Yeah.
I don't know what pocket you put it in. Say, well, I got 2 pockets in this jacket, and I don't have any pockets in my pants or anything like that. I just got 2 pockets. Now, I will turn them inside out or whatever, and we can go from there.
Okay.
But I still say I suspect.
Okay.
That's all I can do.
Okay.
I cannot prove it because I didn't see it.
That's right. Okay. All right. Line number 3. You're now on with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. Go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Fuller. I have a question, sir. Now, I don't know if you already covered this in hour 1 or not, but recently in the news media, the so-called mainstream news media, excuse me, there have been story after story after story about these Hollywood executives, quote unquote, mistreating other people sexually, mostly white women coming forward, but sprinkled with a few men, I understand. My question is, what do you think the white supremacists are up to? Why is all this in the news right now about how these big-time Hollywood execs have been mistreating people sexually for years, and it's just now hitting the news media all over the place, and that, along with the fact that many non-white people, particularly black women, have been abused for years, hundreds of years. That stuff don't get in the media. I'm thinking of the Tawana Brawley case in where she was
Sexually
raped
assaulted. Yeah, raped. That's right.
by policemen. And she was never given a trial. She wanted a trial. They accused her of being a liar, but never gave the young woman a trial. She was brutally raped and mistreated. And but now these white chicks are getting all this press. Forgive me if I'm getting emotional. But my question, sir, is, what do you think's going on? Why is this happening at this time? And what are these white supremacists up to?
Okay.
And have you heard about these stories?
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Fuller?
Yes, I've heard these stories, and white males have always mistreated all females and taught black males and encouraged black males to mistreat black females. All right? So females all over the planet, all of the females all over the planet have been grossly, horrendously mistreated and are being mistreated even as we speak. I mean, that mistreatment is not isolated and whatnot. It's just people just mention it every now and then. But it's 24/7. It goes with the system of government that we have, the world government, that it's okay to mistreat females, whether you're white or non-white, except if you're non-white, you better be very careful about mistreating a white female, all right? Now you can get into serious trouble. But for a white male to mistreat a white female, that's considered okay among the white supremacists themselves. I mean, that's almost like a handshake deal.
Wow.
And they have always done that. All right? At the same time, they will glorify them, all right, when it comes to other people. But when in the house themselves, they will kick that black female around, that white female around. White men will do that.
Yes,
People
sir.
who have worked in white people's houses have found that out, particularly back in the old days when
Yes,
you
sir.
had a lot of maids.
Yes, sir.
And sometimes the maid has to come to the rescue of the lady of the house, you might say.
Wow.
And say, you know, Mr. So-and-so, you shouldn't talk to her like that. I mean, she didn't do nothing. She didn't mean no harm and all like that. I mean, you know, the black maid has to intervene in order to help the white female out.
Yes.
You know, or something. But then, on the other hand, the white female is also considering herself a part of the establishment, like in the slave plantation. The white female was abused by the white male, but if the black servant, the black female, who is the maid in the house, even talked back to the lady of the house. Now, wait a minute. All right, who's in charge here?
Okay.
And say, well, I just, Miss Alice, I stood up for you yesterday when Mr. George was talking to you in an abusive fashion, and now you're talking to me in an abusive fashion. Say, yeah, but you're the maid.
Wow.
You are a Negro. You are a subordinate.
Yes.
You have nothing to do with the royal family's arguments.
Yes.
Don't get it mixed up, Hattie. All right? Don't get it mixed up. You are still a subordinate in our house.
Right, subordinate. What about
Don't you ever forget your place.
What about the black male?
It's making a difference about how many arguments I have.
Right.
With the master.
What about the black male? Understand? I think it was called buck breaking or whatever that was. Was that considered the same thing?
That is what now?
Buck breaking or whatever it was, where they would rape the black male slave. I forgot the term. I think it's buck breaking, or I think that's what it is.
Oh yes, I mean, you know, hey, it's one thing. White in the system of white supremacy, the white supremacists always let black people know, I'm not only in charge of you.
Yes.
I'm in charge of everything that you claim is yours, including what you say is your woman.
Yeah.
Negro boy.
You
know. You say you got a wife, you ain't got nothing except what I say you have. You don't have a wife, you don't have children, you don't have anything. Why? Because I got you.
Wow.
All right?
Yeah.
And don't you ever forget it.
Yeah, buck breaking,
Yes, I can have your wife in bed with me anytime I want to, and your daughters by your wife. And you know it, and I know it. But you turn a blind eye to it because you know you better.
Yeah.
All right? And that's always been. And that's true in 2017 all over the world.
Yes, sir.
Right this minute.
Right this minute. All righty. TalkTameAtRadio.com. We go where you go. Check us out on 94.1 WGRN. Podcasts are available. Download the TalkTameAtRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. Stay right there. We're getting ready to have more of your phone calls, more of your Gmails, and more of this subject because it's getting heavy up in here. That's radio the way it should be heard. Stay right here. TalkTameAtRadio.com.
Pastor Clifford Riley and the congregation at Mount Gerizim Missionary Baptist Church cordially invite you to worship with us. Yes, come to the Mountain of Blessings for a spirited, love-filled experience. Our Sunday services and twice on Wednesday Bible study will change your life. We are located at 2633 Mock Road, and our phone number is 614-475-9712. Again, 2633 Mock Road, or call 614-475-9712. 612.
Are you ready to earn a certification in healthcare, business, or manufacturing while achieving your high school diploma? Then you're ready for Life Skills High School, a free public school option for Ohio students 16 to 21 years old. Learn more about your free high school educational options at lifeskillshs.org.
Queen's Legacy of Love 12 brand launch and grand opening. Currently looking for hosts, photographers, models, dancers, entertainers, ushers, comedians, production managers, model coordinators, stage crew, vendors, volunteers, sponsors, public relations and media personnel, and extras. Contact GGoldQQueen22@yahoo.com.
Queens of Queens.
Stand by for an important announcement. Mortgage interest rates are the lowest in history. Did you hear that? Mortgage interest rates are the lowest in history. You can buy a home from Lenco Realty for less than rent. For details, call 614-375-2BUY. That's 614-375-2289 or log on to repohomelist.com. That's repohomelist.com and claim your American dream.
For the best home fragrance and beauty products, shop Ash Kickin online.
That's ASHKICKIN.
Made with 100% natural quality ingredients and handcrafted with your family in mind, Ash Kickin products are better than those other guys. Ash Kickin candles, incense, body butter, face moisturizer, and hair moisturizer are priced just right, and you can get yours at 10% off with coupon code TALK17. Support this 100% black-owned business and get your home and body smelling and feeling all right.
That's ASHKICKIN.
Shop Ash Kickin online at www.ashkickin.com.
This is Al Edmondson, owner of a Cutter Brother Rest Barbershop. I'm calling on all barbers and beauticians. It's time for us to unite as one. We can serve our communities better together. Join the Ohio Black Barber Beauty Network. For more information, visit www.obbn.org or call 614-427-3226 to get more information. Be the change that you want to see in your community. Join our network.
If you or someone you know is abusing drugs and or alcohol and want to stop the abuse, contact APDS at 1409 East Livingston Avenue. Office hours are 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily and 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday. APDS is certified by the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services and primarily funded through the Adam H. Board. Fees are based on your income and Medicaid is always accepted. For more information, call 614-253-4448.
Think fast. In less than 30 seconds, a small flame can become a big fire. Don't let your world go up in smoke. Have working smoke alarms and keep heaters 3 feet away from anything that can burn. Learn more at usfa.fema.gov because fire is everyone's fight.
Do you have problems controlling high blood pressure? Good news. You can enroll in Helping Hands Health and Wellness Center's health coaching program utilizing the innovative Twine Health platform. We will help you set your goals, keep in touch with you via your cell phone, and may provide you a free blood pressure cuff. Call us at 614-462-0114 or visit us on the web at www.helpinghandsfreeclinic.org to see if you qualify. This program is provided to you by a grant from the CVS Health Foundation.
See that cute little dog in the pet store? Chances are it came from a puppy mill, a breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppies to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. But with one simple choice, you can help. Just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Not only are you saving a life, you're taking a stand against puppy mills. Visit bestfriends.org/puppymills to learn more.
I've got the water, energy bars, and camera. I think we're set for the hike.
Almost. We need to protect our skin. Don't forget your wide-brimmed hat and sunscreen.
All right. I've got the hat. I've got SPF 30. Will that work?
Yeah, anything 15 or higher is good. Just make sure it says broad spectrum.
Great. Got it. I am not getting burned again. Let's go.
Learn more at cdc.gov/cancer.
Families affected by disasters urgently need support. Help the American Red Cross provide meals and shelter to those affected by disasters, big and small. Donate to Red Cross Disaster Relief. Go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS.
Live call-in talk show. Dial 1-877-932-9766 and join the conversation here on TalkTainmentRadio.com.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Go ahead. Make my day.
You got the power.
Okay, back live. TalkTainmentRadio.com. We go where you go. Download the TalkTainmentRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. I am Mr. Bobby. I'm the co-host of the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. Good questions today. Real good questions today. If you would like to call in, you can by calling 1-877-932-9766. And thank you for your calls. And if you'd like to Gmail me, you can do that also by Gmailing me by the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, at gmail.com. And I will try to get those on. And also, this is very important. Now, you can hear the Compensatory Concept live on our website at TalkTainmentRadio.com. To watch the live broadcast of the Compensatory Concept show, go to YouTube and type in the word Talktainment. Hit the space bar and type in the word radio. Scroll down to the Talktainment #2 live on YouTube and watch the live broadcast of the Compensatory Concept. Then check out for the replay on Talktainment #2 live on YouTube and Facebook.com/Talktainment. That's for the replay of the show. And by the way, like us and subscribe to us. I understand that for some reason we can't get any more of your comments right now, so let me do this. Let me say a big thank you for all who have called in or liked us all across the country. Thank you. We're having a little problems here that we are efforting to correct so that we can get your comments on, because trust me, we really like and want your comments. But hit that like button right there as we are moving on. Okay, Mr. Fuller, we're going to have a question from Brother Palmer, Victor Palmer. He says this, Mr. Fuller, I know codification and the counter-racist compensatory logic is the answer for solving most of my challenges. But sometimes I get very stuck in trying to feel good in the people activities of sex, politics, education, and entertainment because I see that I am a prisoner of war. This reality should motivate me, but feeling good causes me to be sidetracked. Does this mean I'm still not codified enough?
Yes, it means you're not codified enough. But you recognize that you do have a problem concentrating on trying to replace the system of white supremacy with the system of justice, so that within itself is curative. In other words, that helps to cure you of whatever the problem is. Just the realization that there is a problem. See, everything in the code is governed by the individual, him or herself. You don't have to answer to anybody.
Yes, sir.
Particularly Neely Fuller. Regardless, I mean, Neely Fuller is just a carrier of the message of the codification concept. That's all. But how you respond to it is up to you as an individual victim of racism. So if you recognize that you are not doing all that you can, or not letting you're letting your emotions guide you into habitual directions, doing the same thing that you have habits of doing, and that these habits are not helping you to replace the system of racism with the system of justice, not helping you to think along those lines, or speak along those lines, or act along those lines, and you recognize that, then you govern that. So you don't have to answer to anybody. You just say, well, I'm not up to par. I judge myself, even on this program, as to whether or not I'm doing all that I can on this program in the best possible manner. To do what? Help to replace the system of racism with the system of justice. I have never graded myself. I do it on the star system.
Mm-hmm.
Might say, like they grade movies, and they say a 4-star movie.
Yes, sir.
I have never gotten beyond 2.5 stars for myself in focus and in clarity. Sometimes, I'm trying to do better, but does Neely Fuller stay focused? Does he stay clear on every program without fail? The answer is no. According to whom? According to Neely Fuller. See, it ain't personal, even with me. I judge myself according to the standards that I'm supposed to meet. Because
yes, sir.
You either do or you don't. You're either in the mode of trying to counter racism or you're not.
Yes, sir.
There's no in between. And it's just a matter of how well you are doing at it. And you can consider yourself as not doing very well so far. That's everybody on the planet. We're not doing very well. Why? Because the white supremacists are alive and well and doing very well at what they do. They're having some problems, but not so many problems that it really disturbs them, in my opinion.
Yes, sir. Normally at the 45-minute mark, we take time to have you speak about your book, and so we're going to do it just a little bit early. But and I'm getting ready to set this up so that as you speak, Mr. Fuller, they can actually show the copies of your book. But can you speak to your book, how we can get it, who the book is geared to, and any other pertinent information? Where can we get the book? Can we get it overseas? Can we get it in Canada? All that. Can you give that to us right now?
Yes, you can get it in the UK. You can get it in England. Now, in other places, in what they call Europe, I don't know about that. I don't think so. But you can get it in the United Kingdom, which they usually define as England. And I've been told recently that they're back online for Canada. I have to double-check that. But you can get the book by going to producejustice.com.
Yes. That's
producejustice.com. Just remember those words. Write them down if you have a pen. Produce Justice, like in product, PRODUCE, producejustice.com. And what will come up on the screen is a brief description of the basic textbook, which is what most people get. Some people get the entire set, because the set will consist of the basic textbook and a compensatory counter-racist word guide that gives you some idea about how to use words
yes.
on the job and everywhere else, and how not to use words, things to say, things not to say, just in your interaction. Non-white people with each other, non-white people when they're with white people, certain things you say, certain things you don't say, and you say it a certain way, and be consistent in the way that you say it. That way you don't have to do what they call last-minute thinking, start head-scratching and foot shuffling and whatnot. You just say, oh, well, now the code calls for me. When this comes up, the code calls for me to say this.
Yes, sir.
All right? And if the discussion might be about a number of things, about the flag, about, how do you think about America? Sometimes it comes in the form of a question. It gives some examples of what kind of answers to give, how to use words. But get the books by going to producejustice.com.
Okay. And for those who are viewing the program via YouTube, a picture, was up there, a picture of the book, the basic textbook was up there so that you can see what Mr. Fuller is talking about, and then you can go on and get that. All right. Thank you, Mr. Fuller. Okay, let's go to the phone line. Caller number 3, I believe it is. Okay, you're on with Mr. Fuller. Go ahead, please.
How you doing, Mr. Bobby?
Okay, sir.
It's Brother Muko from Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, where we hold the compensatory constructive action discussions. This Saturday we're having them at 9 a.m. to 10. 3503 Glen Arm Avenue off of White Avenue. My question for Mr. Fuller today is, you definitely stay codified always up here in Baltimore. And can you express for my care unit, like you've always been doing, how important it is as far as the sex goes for us to label anti-sex as it is and not mistaking it for sex?
Oh, well, sex, according to the code, is interaction, any interaction of any kind, including sexual intercourse. It may or may not include sexual intercourse, and or what we call sexual play, kissing, fondling, touching, etc., etc., etc. We call that sexual play. And sexual intercourse itself is interaction, copulation, you might say, between male with female. Now, any other activity, like male with male, female with female, is, according to the code, anti-sex or counter-sex. It's not sex. It works against sex. Sex is between male with female. Male and with female doing what? Doing anything. Because it's male with female. Now, that's sex, according to counter-racist logic, compensatory logic. Why? Because it works best in the interest of doing what? Of replacing the system of white supremacy with the system of justice. Now, the white supremacists are in the process of spreading all over the world the concept that sex can be anything between anybody, all right? And they are spreading it among non-white people at a galloping pace. And they are going into the schools, the kindergartens, and all like that, and doing what you call, hey, this bunch of nonsense about sex being limited to male with female. I mean, you know, you don't limit yourself. This is a big universe, and so we have been neglecting to look at sex for what it really is. Sex can be anything. I mean, scrambled sex, scatter sex, confluent sex, affluent sex, sex division, sex subtraction, sex addition, castration sex, bovina sex.
Whoa!
Meaning, what's bovina sex? Well, bovina sex is, you might consider showing your love in a sexual manner with a cow, if you're a person.
Wow.
Why not? Some of the ancients tried that. They tried it, and they built great civilizations with that type of mentality. And, you know, even though some of them faded out and all like that, I mean, but they didn't really die out and whatnot. So we can build on studying what some of the ancients did. I mean, that's why you see in their artwork a person who is half person and half horse. Why? Because somebody's had sex with a horse. I mean, you know, and produced something called half male, half horse. Why not? All right? And we should explore this. Don't limit your minds. I mean, don't be like the Negroes. The Negroes have limited minds. But we white supremacists, we let our minds just go all over the place.
Yeah.
Just ramble all over. And that right now, we are saying that all you non-white people need to explore, re-examine this thing about sex being limited to male with female. And let sex just flourish everywhere, with anything, under any sign of circumstance.
Yeah.
I mean, you might even try a little incest there. Why not? I mean, you know, we've done it before. You might come up with some deformed offspring or something like that. But I mean, you know, there are diseases even between male with female. So what? I mean, you know, so you can't use that as an excuse. I mean, you know, that doesn't matter. Doesn't matter about age or anything. That's age discrimination.
Yeah.
Let people get in bed of any age. And the family that lays together stays together. That's what they are purporting now. And it's all over the place.
Yeah.
And you find among even some of the great intellectual black people who are saying, you know what? Yeah. I mean, we got to get our minds out of the ghetto, out of the sexual ghetto.
Yeah.
I mean, this sex is everything. Sex is anything. I mean, sex with a tree, sex with a rolling tire.
Wow.
I mean, why not? I mean, let your mind just go. Let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Wow.
Don't be in a box. And the white supremacists are sitting back, winking at them, winking at each other.
Yes, sir.
And saying, hey, we got these black people again on the road that we want them on. And it's true to form, since they don't have minds of their own, they can't figure out any kind of logic. That's why they're always behind in everything.
Okay.
So we'll just throw that on them. That'll keep them busy for a while.
Let's see. Before we move on, let me get this straight. Did you say the family that they're saying that the family that lays together stays together?
They may say that.
Oh, they may say. Okay.
They have said that.
Okay, I got it. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
When you say, did you say that? What do you mean by that? Well, that can mean almost anything.
Okay. All right. I just
see the white supremacists. The whole point behind all of this new sexual exploration and these new divinities of sex, I mean, and the unlimited type of titles
yes.
they have for sex, is all designed to do what? Cause confusion.
Okay.
Among non-white people.
All right.
And they don't care whether it's sex or whether it's something in economics, whether it's something in entertainment or in labor, as long as they're causing massive confusion among non-white people, they know that gives strength to the system of white supremacy.
Okay.
And not only that, they're controlling it all.
Yeah, they're controlling it. Okay.
Some black people think they might be controlling some of it. You ain't controlling nothing.
Nothing.
They're controlling all of it.
Okay. On page 327 of the revised and expanded edition, at the very top, we're still in the 8th area of people, activity, sex. You said this. What about happiness? What is the connection between love, justice, and happiness? Could you elaborate on that, Mr. Fuller?
That's on page what?
327 at the very top.
Okay, let me turn to it.
Yeah. What about?
Okay.
Yeah.
What about happiness? What is the connection between love, justice, and happiness? And what I've written here is happiness happens. It happens in what? Moments. These happy moments usually occur at times that are unexpected and for reasons that are not always understood. These quote-unquote happy moments should be accepted as such, understood as such, and remembered as such. Now, you say, well, happiness, happens in moments? Yes. There's no such thing as a happy day. You don't have a happy day. Happiness always comes in moments. And once that moment is gone, it's gone. But you can remember it. That's why we have photograph albums and have fires and whatnot, forest fires, burn down the whole house. What do the people say? Well, we lost our car and we lost my garden tools out there in the garage and all like that, because the garage burned down on the car and the tools and part of the house. But it happened to burn, the fire happened to burn that part of the house down that we had our photographs. And that's the thing that really hurts us most. Why? Because the photographs, even though you very seldom look at them, if people really admit the truth, all those photographs that you treasure so much, you very seldom look at those photographs.
Yes.
Hundreds of them.
Mm-hmm.
And while I'm talking about photographs, I'd like to mention this. If you want to capture your happy moments on photographs, and most people do, put the date, the time, and the people who are in the picture on the back of that photograph.
Why?
I've been neglecting to do that, to say this, and I've been trying to remind myself to say this, because there are whole trunks full of photographs. And they'll be gathering them up and putting them in the African American Museum, by the way. I mean, but there are thousands of photographs that people have taken down through the years. And when you turn those photographs over, nobody can remember when they were taken, who the people are, what the occasion was, anything about it.
Okay.
Stop and think about it. Look at those photographs that you have. What are the dates and the times on it? None. All right, for most of it. But yet, I have seen people sometimes look through old albums, find a lot of photographs in an old trunk somewhere over in Aunt Agnes' attic. And they'll say, you know what, our whole family history is here. But we don't know none of these people.
Right.
We don't know when the pictures were taken, where they were taken. We don't know whether that's Aunt Agnes over here, over in the left-hand corner of this picture, or whether that's her sister, Sarah.
Okay.
All right? People are doing that even as we speak. And they say, it's just terrible. We can't identify these people. And this is our whole family history right here.
Yeah.
Right in front of us. But we don't know any of the people.
Okay.
I can't even identify my baby picture.
Wow.
Why? Because it didn't say whether it was me or my sister.
Okay.
All right.
All right. While we were there, we had the scales of justice. Can we put that back up there for the screen here? Because, Mr. Fuller, I want you to finish it off here in the middle of that statement you were making about what is happiness, what is the connection between love, justice, and happiness, and it was getting ready to go into by comparison. I think that's important. Could you?
Yes.
Yeah.
By comparison, most of the time, a person is more likely to be bored than happy. If you stop and think about it, you are bored more than you're happy, even when you're in circumstances where you're supposed to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever been on a vacation and everybody was looking around, smiling and whatnot and taking pictures and whatnot, and actually, if you told yourself the truth at that very moment, standing in front of the waterfall, you were actually bored.
Okay.
You were thinking about, your mind was back somewhere in the kitchen at your house.
Yeah.
Rather than where you actually were.
Okay.
So you weren't really actually happy
that
moment, even though that was supposed to be a happy moment.
Okay.
See, there's no way to predict when you're going to be happy.
Okay.
You just know it when you're there.
Okay. Now, in addition, because we're getting ready to wrap it up.
In addition, happiness may or may not be connected with love and justice. I'm going to read that again. In addition, happiness may or may not be connected with love and justice. However, according to compensatory logic, love is justice, and justice is love.
Yeah.
Now, that's important to remember.
Yeah.
People say, well, I love you and all like that. No. All we practice in justice, because guaranteeing that no person is mistreated and guaranteeing that the person that needs help the most gets the most constructive help. That's love.
That's love.
That is also justice.
Yeah. That's what I wanted you to get at, because I felt like you do, Mr. Fuller. That was very, very, very important to get out. Let me make this announcement. Next week's show on the 22nd, no live show. Okay, no live show. We're going to have. We're not going to have. So enjoy your Thanksgiving or whatever that is. Enjoy that. Yeah, that's real important. So, Mr. Fuller, we won't be talking next week, but the week after that, we'll be talking.
I'll make note of that.
Yeah, okay, make note of that. Okay, Mr. Fuller, we have 30 seconds, so anything else you want to say before we wrap this bad boy up today?
Just go to producejustice.com in order to get the textbook that I'm reading from and referring to, that I have written. These are just my opinions, my suggestions, my overview of what the problems are in the world today, and how an individual person can react to these problems on a day-to-day basis.
All righty.
Go to producejustice.com.
Okay, talktainmentradio.com, the world's greatest radio, and radio the way it should be heard. Hey, thank you for listening. Thank you, Mr. Fuller, and we'll see you in about 2 weeks. All right, thank you.